The thing was is that I think that Trump is at his absolute best when he is funny, right? And I think that his power of funny and ridicule. I hope that he doesn't lose while trying to sort of defend his own record and the rest of it. But you talk about those election changes that happened under the cover of COVID, under the cover of outrage about the final days of the Trump presidency. Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats have gone, let's make all the changes that we did to the electoral system permanent in a thing called House Resolution 1. Now, it's very detailed, very boring. Most people in Australia kind of yawn. But the results of it would be a permanent change that meant that they've found the way to hack for the inner city to be able to outvote the suburbs and the region. And if that's the case, then good luck to the Republicans, no matter who is their nominee.
Absolutely. And this HR1 that you're talking about, this bill is something that Nancy Pelosi tried to punt up day one of the Trump administration. And of course, it was knocked back because the Republicans controlled the Senate. But now the Democrats control everything in Washington. So this is definitely a goer. And it's just one of a suite of measures that the Democrats are planning to ensure that they are in power indefinitely, and they include turning the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico into states, which would be Democrat, and things like stacking the Supreme Court and abolishing the Electoral College. All of these things give Democrats a major advantage. So there's, I guess, hope that the Republicans can stave that off for the next 2 years with the help of so-called moderate Democrats like Joe Manchin until the midterms, when they seem pretty confident that if Joe Biden continues on the way he's doing, a lot of people out there with buyer remorse, they might have wanted to get rid of Donald Trump, but they didn't really think that old moderate Joe was going to turn out to back all these radical, really far left policies, the most left-wing administration ever.
Which brings me to, this feeling about, so in the same way that people who hated Trump somehow found his presidency to be some sort of aberration which needed to be proven every single day, and that's fine, that exists for CNN, whatever. For those of us who, myself, obviously wanted a return for another 4 years. There's a want to look at some of the failures that exist of Biden. But I'd also imagine too that there's this weird feeling about the Biden presidency that it feels like a transition to the inevitable Harris presidency. And the question is whether it happens at an election or whether it happens when he takes a shower and falls over. So that's this weird feeling about Joe Biden, that he really feels like a night watchman, not the actual main game, but the main game is being played every single day, and he's wilder than even Obama was, frankly, in some of the stuff he's been pushing.
Yes, and look, that's really the frightening thing. Who's really in charge? We find out last week that Kamala Harris has been making phone calls to overseas leaders, without Joe Biden anywhere nearby. We saw Joe Biden having an interview with Univision, which is a Latin American channel, about important issues, policy issues, including the housing of these child migrants and various border protection policies that he's dismantled. And he had right next to him his wife, Jill Biden, or Dr. Jill, as she likes to be called. And she was prompting him when he forgot words, because he is cognitively impaired. That's clear. It waxes and wanes. But he still is very foggy. And she also, in fact, interrupted him at one point to answer a question better than he had been answering it. So she's not, she's not elected. She shouldn't be doing that. It's pretty bad. And then you have, has not given a press conference in the 6 weeks that he's been in office. And he does these sort of weird little outings for a few minutes where he reads from a teleprompter, but the way he reads is, as bad as anything he did during the campaign when he was in his basement. He loses his train of thought. He stumbles over words. He just doesn't seem to comprehend what he's reading. And I think, the fact that the other day the administration bombed a site in Syria is pretty worrying, because Donald Trump made a joke of it yesterday at CPAC when he said, who knows what Joe Biden even knows, what the hell he understands. No one really knows how much he's processing. And so you worry about those behind the scenes who are pulling the strings.
Yeah, absolutely. Miranda, love reading your stuff, love seeing you on the telly. All the best, as always. I know it's way too early and way too cold, but thank you for getting up in New York for us.
Thanks so much, Paul. Lovely
Good on
to
you.
talk to you.
And you, Miranda Devine, find her on all the socials. Read her, of course, in the Daily Telegraph, but of course the New York Post, which is where you can get her each and every day. She's an absolute rock star.